Hey guys, good morning. I'm down here in the Cycles of Hope shop, and today we're going to learn how to fix broken spokes on a wheel, how to replace the spokes, how to true the wheel, how to install and remove a cassette, and a disc brake rotor. So I hope this video helps. I hope you learn a lot of tricks and tips. God bless you guys. Let's jump right into it. All right, you guys, here's the tools you're going to need in order to change out broken spokes on a wheel. First, you'll need a spoke wrench. You'll need tire irons. You'll need a valve stem tool. You'll need an awl. You'll need both of these cassette removal tools. You'll use the channel locks in tandem with the cassette removal tools to remove the cassette. You'll use a flathead screwdriver in order to install the nipples onto the spokes to start, and then use the spoke wrench to tighten them the rest of the way. And you'll use these Allen keys, the number 3 in particular, to take off the bolts that attach the disc brake rotor to the hub of the wheel. All right, you guys, so here we have an old wheel with several broken spokes. We have broken spokes here. All around the wheel is broken spokes. Broken spoke there. There is a broken spoke. At least 6 or 7 broken spokes we have on this wheel. So what we got to do is we got to change the spokes out and then true the wheel and then mount the tube and tire back onto the rim, and it should be good to go. So first things first, let's get this wheel off the bike. So just undo the clamp on the quick release. Loosen it, pull back the derailleur so there's room for the wheel to come out, and just pull the wheel right out and get the chain out of the way, and then the wheel comes off. Next step is just to get the air out of the tire. If it's properly inflated, take off the valve stem cap. Take off the valve stem cap. Take this tool here, valve stem tool, and then use this to take the air out of the bike. Just press the valve stem, press the valve and the valve stem in, and let the air out. Press around the tire to get all the air out of the tube. Press around the tire like so. And get all the air out. Once all the air is out of the tube, we've got to dismount the tire from the bead of the rim, and we use these tire irons. I would recommend getting these, and here's why. I always go opposite of the valve stem. That's where I take the tire off. So here's the valve stem. I'll go opposite the valve stem, which is over here. And how I'll do it is I'll insert the tire iron, and then once it's inserted, there's a little notch on the tire iron. That notch grabs the spoke itself and holds it in place. Then you could use another tire iron. They come in a set of 3 when you buy these. And then go down a few spokes and do the same thing. Grab it, pull it out, and attach it to a spoke. And then do it one more time with another one. And you can do it on the opposite side over here. We'll go in, we'll grab the inside of the tire and pull it out. Just like that. And as you can see, one of them fell out. It's usually what happens. One of them falls out whenever you're doing this. But you can see it's getting the tire off the bead. So we take this last one, and we can just follow the edge of the tire. Just pull it back, just like this, and you'll see it start coming off. The bead of the tire will come off of the rim. Just follow the edge of the tire. And now that side of the tire is off. As you can see here, we've got that bead off the rim. Go opposite the valve stem. Valve stem's down here. And then you're just gonna push the tire off of the rim. Push it off, comes right off. And there you have it. Now the tire's off. Now we can get to the spokes that are broken on the wheel. Okay, so the first step to getting to the spokes and getting the old spokes that are broke out of the wheel is we have to take this rim strip off. So go to where the valve stem hole's at on the rim strip, take an awl or something similar to an awl, and then you can go inside the hole of the rim strip, pull it up, and then pull it off the wheel like so, and then just kind of gently tug it so we can reuse it. And it comes right off. The next step is just to get all the broken spokes off of this wheel. So find where the spokes are at. Here's one broken right here, take it out. Here's some broken right here, take them out. Okay, all the spokes are out on the rim side, but now we got to get the spokes out on the hub side. So as you can see, there's several pieces of, old pieces of spokes that are still attached to the wheel. So what we have to do is we have to take off the disc brake rotor, and we have to take off this cassette here. So to do that, the first thing you want to do is take off the quick release. So you just unscrew it. And make sure you take off the spring on both sides and the quick release. And then once you take it out, go ahead and screw it back together so you don't lose any of the parts. All right, now set that aside. Now we'll take off the disc brake rotor. So it looks like we need a Allen key. It looks like it's going to be a number 4. And we're going to take these. Nope, it's actually a number 3. And take off all the Allen keys around the rotor of the disc brake. Once the last screw comes off, you can take the rotor off. There's the rotor. Okay, so now we got to take the cassette off. And we do that with a cassette removal tool, which is right here. It looks like this. You'll have to buy one from Park Tool or at your bike shop. They're not too expensive. And I'll leave a link in the description below that will show you where to buy this guy. So how it works is you put the grooved edge side inside the cassette. Make sure it goes in all the way. Like that right there. Once you get the cassette removal tool inside of the cassette, use this tool. I'll put a link in the description below where to buy this tool at. And you're going to go around the edge of one of the chain rings in the middle, is what I usually do. Just like that. And then put pressure up. Have the pressure going up. And then take the cassette removal tool and go to the left. And do that a couple times. And it will loosen up the cassette. If you don't have this tool, what's going to happen is when you try to loosen up the cassette off the threads, it's going to just spin. It's going to spin just like that. It's not going to loosen. So you have to have this tool to hold the cassette and keep it from spinning. So now that it's loose, I can go ahead and take it off the rest of the way, but just by holding the cassette and loosening it with my fingers. And when that happens, this cap comes off, and then the cassette can be removed. Just like so. Now the cassette's removed. And now we can get to these pesky spokes that are broken and get them out of the holes. So let's get those spokes out. The old broken spokes will come right out. You might need to use a pair of clines. It might make it easier to grab them and just pull them out. Okay, now all the spokes are removed. Now we can install the new spokes. Then we'll have to true this wheel. So here we have spokes. These actually are sized to 266 millimeters. And you can size a spoke by using a rule with millimeters listed on it, like this right here. And you'll line up the end of the spoke nipple with the dot on the measuring stick. So put the end of the spoke on the dot, and then follow it down and see where the end of the spoke lands. This one lands at 266 millimeters. I don't know if you can see that or not. Might be upside down, but it lands at 266 millimeters. If you have a rule like this right here that I showed you, you can take a spoke that's not broken, take a spoke out, which is what I did here. I took the spoke out and then sized it, and then you can go buy spokes for that size. If you feel uncomfortable sizing your own spokes, take the broken wheel to a bike shop and have them size your spokes, and then give you the amount of spokes you need to replace all of the broken spokes on the wheel. We've got these 266 millimeter spokes. Let's install the spokes with the nipples. And when we install these spokes, as you can see around the edge of the hub, the spokes alternate. Some are fed from the inside, some are fed from the outside. So continue that pattern. It's inside, outside, inside, outside. It just repeats itself over and over again. Make sure you install the spokes exactly as they're installed already on the rim. All right, when you install these, look at the direction that they're going. So the spokes that are installed from the outside of the rim are going to the right, and they are triple cross. They cross 3 spokes before going into the spoke hole. So go underneath 2, go underneath 2 of the spokes, and then go over 1 of the spokes. So also a way to do it is to count how many holes is between this outside hole and this outside hole. So you'll count. You'll follow this one up. So follow it up. And then the gap between this one and that one is 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so we know that going this way, we got to install it 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, here's a spoke that's missing, 3, and then 4. That's where we'll put the spoke nipple. You can actually take a screwdriver and screw the spoke in, a flathead. And then grab your spoke wrench. And there's 3 sizes on this spoke wrench. We got a 0, a 1, and a 2. For this particular nipple, the right size wrench is a 2. Just go to the spoke that needed to be tightened, and you're gonna go to the left, believe it or not, to tighten it. It's kind of counterintuitive, but that's how they tighten. Don't tighten it all the way, we'll have to true it later. We just want it snug. Now do that with the rest of the spokes. Here we go. Okay, the next step, before we true the wheel, is just get all the spokes nice and snug around the wheel. You can see some of these are very loose. We need to snug them up. Some of them are too loose, so snug them all up to where they're nice and tight all around the circumference of your wheel. And it's good practice to start where the valve stem hole is at, right here, and then work your way around the wheel in a clockwise or counterclockwise manner. All right, now all the spokes are tight, or not tight, but they're snug. They're snugged up to where there's no loose spokes. So now we can take it over to the truing stand and true our wheel. All right, first things first, we've got to reinstall the axle, or the quick release axle, back on the wheel so it can attach to the truing stand. So we'll do that now. Just slide it through the hole. And then just get some tension on this side. All right, next step, install the wheel onto the truing stand. You might have to adjust it a little bit to get it to fit in there. Adjust it so it fits. And then you can tighten up the wheel just like that. You can adjust these other calipers. So first we'll start out about right there, and we'll spin the wheel. So you can see it's hitting over here on this side here as it's rotating. It's hitting this side. So we've got to bring that side back into true. So take your spoke wrench, and how I do it is I'll go around, and where it starts rubbing, right there, grab that spoke. Keep coming around. Go all the way around to where it stops rubbing, about right there. Hold those 2 points, and then you're going to start tightening and loosening the spokes on either side of the rim, either the cassette side or the disc brake side. So since the spoke is rubbing on this side, we're going to want to tighten the spokes on this side and loosen the spokes on this side. So the ones that are going to this side tighten, the ones that go to this side loosen. So again, we'll find where we got to do it at. So about right here to about right here. All right, so we have our spokes. So what you're going to want to do is loosen these on the cassette side. And we'll start by loosening them a half turn. For all the ones on this side, half turn. If it's really tight, do a whole turn, and then a half turn. Now see where that gets you. As you can see, it fixed this side. Now we're no longer rubbing on this side. But if we tighten up the calipers a little bit, we can see it's hitting on the other side now. So we've got to true that side. And we'll do the same thing, except this time on the disc brake side, we'll loosen them. On the cassette side, we'll tighten them. Just a half a turn to start. So this is where it's going in. It hits, still hitting, and then stops hitting there. So if we need to loosen up, first, before we tighten, we'll just loosen the spokes, a half turn, all on the disc brake side. Half turn. We'll do that for all these guys. That one's already loose, so we're gonna leave it where it's at. If they're already loose, don't loosen them anymore. We don't want to have loose spokes. That one's loose. All right. All right, let's see what we got after we're doing that. Okay, it's still hitting, so now we got to tighten the spokes on that side. Okay, here to here. Now tighten the ones on the cassette side. Just a half turn. A whole turn if they're loose. Half turn if they're tight. Now see what we got. Yeah, it's getting better. It's still a little out of true, so in order to really get fine details, tighten up your calipers. And now do the same process again. As you get closer to true, only do a quarter turn on your tightening or loosening. Recheck. We got one space that needs to be fixed. Right in there. All right, quarter turns. Quarter turn tight. Quarter turn. All right, now see what we got. That rim's pretty true. We'll keep it there. So that's how you true a rim. Like I said, it's fairly simple. If you keep it simple, then it's pretty easy to do. You just see where it touches your you really need a truing stand, of course, but to do it, you just got to basically see where it's touching on either side of the caliper. If it touches on the right side of the caliper, tighten up the left side, the disc brake side. If it touches on the left side or the disc brake side, tighten up the cassette side spokes or the right side. And like I said, that's pretty much the process of how I do it. And then gradually start with half-inch turns. Then after you get closer and closer to true, go to quarter turns. Anyways, that's how you true a wheel. Now let's get the rim strip back on. Then we'll get the tire back on. And then we'll put the tire and wheel back on the bike. All right, the next step is to install the rim strip. Before you install the rim strip, make sure there's no spokes pointing out of the rim on where the tire and tube have got to mount. That's a common problem for pinch flats and punctures, is to have spokes that are sticking out of the rim itself on the tire side. So you're gonna go look through all these holes right here, all these holes. Make sure that there is no spoke sticking above that hole. If it is, it's going to cause your tire to go flat. So look through the whole wheel and make sure that there is none sticking out. And you can feel it with your fingers to make sure. That one's close. This one's pretty close right here. That one's almost sticking out above the wall, but I think we'll be okay. And if not, what you can do is you can actually just cut it off. Cut off the end of that spoke just to make sure. That's the only one that I see that's pretty close. But I think we'll be okay there. So what you'll do is you'll find out where your valve stem hole is at and line up the rim strip with the valve stem hole on the wheel. Hold it in place and then go around. Go around the wheel and just install it. Should install pretty easy. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. It gets tight at the end here, and just kind of just work it in. And there you go. And like I said, sometimes that valve stem hole goes off center. So I take an awl, and I'll go inside with my awl and just kind of pry it and move it back to where it's right in space. Just like that. Now we'll install the tire onto the wheel. With the bike setting up like it is upside down, you'll have the tire going backwards. And that way when you flip the bike back up, the tire will be going the right way. Just remember, it's opposite. If you have the bike flipped upside down and you install the tire, make sure the rotation is opposite of what you think it should be. Because when you flip it over, it reverses. First off, you line up. You put the valve stem into the valve stem hole. All right, pull the valve stem down to where it won't come out of the valve stem hole. Get one side of your tire onto the rim. You're just gonna have to work it. It's something that's hard to teach. You have to just put your hands on it and figure it out. But what I do is I just try to get everything lined up, and I'll just kind of I'll gently roll the tire. See how I'm doing that? I'm rolling the tire. I'm rolling the tire in, and it gradually works its way in as you roll it. Roll it in. There we go. So now we got one side of the tire installed on the rim, as you can see here. See that one side is installed. The next step is just to go opposite the valve stem. Here's the valve stem. Go opposite the valve stem, and you're just going to roll the tire onto the rim. Just roll it with both of your hands. Very gently, but firm. And then you're going to work it just like I worked it all the way around. Turn it. Do the same thing up here. Work it in. Work it. I'm just rolling it in, as you can see. And at the end, it might get a little difficult. Roll the rest of it, and there it goes. It popped into place. These 26-inch tires are really easy to replace. They're the easiest ones. Those in the 24s, the 700s are difficult. The 29s can be difficult. 27.5 can be difficult. These 26s, they're pretty easy to install, a standard tire. So now what we'll do is we'll put air in the tire, reinstall it back on the bike. When you put air in the tire, make sure you look at the sidewall of your tire to see what the maximum recommended pressure is. And I usually put it to the maximum pressure. So these 26-inch tires is a 45 PSI maximum recommended pressure. So I'll install the right amount of pressure into the tire. Here we go. As you do it, make sure there's no bulges on your tire. Make sure everything is seated properly in the tire on the rim. Make sure the bead is not sticking out in any place. And then once you've verified that it's not going to come out of the rim, fill it up the rest of the way. All right, so after you pump up the tire, I won't show you on the video, but what you got to do is you got to reinstall the cassette, and you'll just put it on and then tighten up the nut just like you took it off. And you'll also reinstall the disc brake rotor. And it's simple. It's just this one has 6 bolts that hold it onto the hub. And after you get the rotor and the cassette installed, and then the quick release axle back in, you can install it onto the bike. Take your rear derailleur, pull it back to where the chain is taut. Go in, mount the tire onto the chain. Mount the cassette onto the chain, and then just gently guide the axle into the knockouts of your frame, and then get it lined up. Tighten up the quick release, clamp it down, and now that tire is ready to rock. We can try it out. All right, you guys, we covered a lot of topics in this video, but that was mainly how you replace spokes on a wheel and how you true a wheel. And I hope that helps. I hope you learned some tricks. And I just want to say God bless you guys. Thanks to all my family, affiliates, and friends. And I'll see you in the next one. God bless you.